Can astrology shed any light on the situation we are all facing at this profound moment in human history? There is a variation of astrology known as mundane astrology, which examines the planets and houses within the zodiac to gain a global perspective on world events. The word mundane comes from the Latin word mundus, which means the world. On January the 12th, 2020, the planet Saturn joined in a conjunction with the planet Pluto within the astrological sign of Capricorn. As outer planets within our solar system, Saturn and Pluto only come together once about every 40 years. And the last time they met in the sign of Capricorn was over 500 years ago. The energetic influence of these two celestial bodies is profound. Consequently, during these conjunctions, their impact on our physical reality is significant. First, it is necessary to understand the unique characteristics and qualities of these two planets and the houses from a mundane perspective. The traditional 7 planets, which can be seen with the naked eye, have a greater interrelationship with our focal soul consciousness than those planets we cannot see. The 3 outer planets past Saturn are predominantly interwoven with our subconscious, and being the greater part of our mind's capacity, the collective subconscious has the potential to move mountains, making significant and lasting changes to the whole of humanity on a global scale. Pluto is the planet of transformation, death, and rebirth. It is regarded as the bulldozer of the zodiac. Its power and potential for destruction is so great they named plutonium after it, the fuel used to make atomic bombs. Saturn, the slowest, furthest, and coldest of the visible planets, is old Father Time, or Kronos. It is associated with order, control, and restriction, and from a mundane astrological perspective, it has influence over elderly people, national death rates, and life-threatening epidemics. Saturn is also Satan, or Diabolos. Divide and abolish, contraction, restriction, frustration, and loss. It is also depicted as the Grim Reaper. When the bulldozer and the Reaper meet, big changes can be expected. No matter how prepared society is in meeting adverse challenges, once these two planets unite, nothing will stop their combined energies from breaking through. To identify and narrow down which areas and aspects of society are to come under the influence of the bulldozer driven by the Grim Reaper, we need to take a closer look at the astrological sign this planetary meeting takes place in. By studying previous conjunctions in the houses which they took place in, an idea of their impact on global events can be assessed. This event has only occurred on 3 separate occasions in the past century. In November 1982, they met in Libra, the seventh house of the zodiac, a house in mundane astrology which represents foreign relations with other countries, whether friendly or hostile, together with political and commercial agreements. It is also the house concerning marriage and divorce rates. During this period, relations between many countries deteriorated, creating a great deal of frustration, tension, and restrictions. The Falklands War began, and the Cold War between the two superpowers escalated. The divorce rate in the West was at its peak, while the Institute of Marriage began its slow decline. In August 1947, Saturn and Pluto joined together in Leo, the fifth house of amusement, entertainment, and leisure, together with gambling and stock market speculation. During this time, we saw a post-war crash in many Western stock markets due to the fuel crisis of 1947. Saturn rules everything under the ground, so restrictions to fossil fuels fall under its domain.
The impact that the 1947 fuel crisis and the subsequent drive to increase industrial output had on the standing of Clement Attlee's first Labour government has often been understood in primarily economic terms. This article demonstrates that for many Britons these events were not only the cause of daytime power cuts and short-term unemployment, but also the source of restrictions on a host of leisure pursuits that altered the established rhythms of everyday social and cultural life. Such restrictions, which affected, amongst other things, the cinema, theatre, radio and sporting events, helped to determine the experience of the fuel crisis and thereby shaped attitudes towards the government, not least because of the emotive way in which they were reported in the press.
In October 1914, Saturn joined Pluto in the fourth house of Cancer. This house, which represents the land and owners of that land, together with the people who live on it, and their feelings of security within stable communities of traditional social structures. This was the beginning of World War I, at that time the greatest conflict the world had ever seen. Trench warfare on a massive scale involving 70 million personnel, transforming global society, countries' borders, and people's stability within traditional communities. So what changes can we expect to see from this latest conjunction with Pluto and Saturn? Capricorn is the 10th house of the zodiac. It represents all those in authority, monarchy, world leaders, and all forms of government structures. It is also the house of global trade, credit, and power, along with the public employment rate. Both Saturn and Pluto's energies will join to promote transformation, restrictions, limitations, and control in all areas within Capricorn's rulership. Old systems of governance shall be transformed by Pluto's tendency to bulldoze its way through old governing structures to make way for a new world order. In mundane astrology, Saturn has influence over the elderly and a nation's death rate, together with life-threatening epidemics. This, with Pluto's destructive capacity, could be a contributing factor towards what we are witnessing today. The last time Pluto and Saturn joined in Capricorn was in October 1517, the same time Martin Luther made public his 95 Theses, which began the Protestant movement that ultimately transformed the monopoly of control which the Catholic Church had over Christianity and the global order of governance. So what makes the Pluto and Saturn conjunction so powerful? If we assume that in order for universal consciousness to experience itself in a physical, material way, it has to descend from its pure spiritual form into matter, out here in the dense regions of the galaxy. Through some kind of process of differentiation and diffusement, spiritual light fragments as it enters our solar system, breaking away from the source through various energetic vortices known as planets. Beginning at Pluto, the creator consciousness begins the process of thought into matter. As already mentioned, the three outer planets, which cannot be seen with the naked eye, are primarily concerned with the collective subconscious. When the creator consciousness arrives at Saturn, the process of fragmentation is initiated, where conscious thought begins to take on material form, followed by the other planetary vortices expressing unique character traits as the matter unfolds. Saturn's glyph of a cross over a crescent expresses its metaphysical role within our solar system, a cross denoting material matter over the crescent of spirituality. If we examine the Kabbalistic tree of life, we find at the top of the tree Pluto and Saturn within a supernal triad, expressing in a diagrammatic way the process of devolvement from creator consciousness into material form. Keter, the crown Sephiroth at the top of the tree, represents the energy of the creator. This Sephiroth is ruled by Pluto. The third Sephiroth is called Bina. It is known as the Messiah and is ruled by the planet Saturn. Bina, or the Messiah, is where all matter in this physical reality begins to take on form.
Bina is the great revealing one who bestows the structure of the absolute onto the created.
It is interesting to note that the pathway from Keter, the creator, to Bina, the Messiah, is called birth. It is therefore no coincidence that Jesus, the Messiah, for the old age of Pisces, was born in Bethlehem. It is also no coincidence that he was born in a manger, as a manger is a feeding trough for animals to eat from. Another place surrounded by animals is the zodiac. So when these two planets meet in a specific house in the zodiac chart and in the heavens, we can expect universal consciousness to begin the process of initiating change within this physical realm. There is a traditional way for humanity to unite together during significant astronomical alignments, which has the potential to influence our reality's feedback loop through the collective subconscious. Our ancestors would build great monuments aligned with the solstices and equinoxes in order to track the stars and planets. And when the time came for a significant conjunction or planetary alignment, they would all congregate in order to promote their future dreams, wishes, and aspirations as a collective intent, which was thought to have an influence on the feedback loop connected to the Creator.
Again, truly I tell you that if two of you on earth agree about anything they asked for, it will be done for them by my Father in heaven. For where two or three gather in my name, there am I with them.
As the Creator is all bestowing, whoever controls the narrative of discourse and intent during these planetary alignments will ultimately control our future perception of reality.